Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Raspi Hari Radha Raspi Hari Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Sham Radha Sham Radha Sham Jaya Radha Sham Jaya Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Balaram Jaya Kṛṣṇa Balaram Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudeva. Jaya Śrīpāda Śaṅkarācārya Sota Sata Shishamachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jaya Śrīpāda Śaṅkarācārya Sota Sata Shishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki. Anantaguri Vaishnavrinda Ki. Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Jeev Gopal Bhatta Rasa Raghunath Sari Kṛṣṇa Prabhu Ki. Prem se ko Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopa Gopi Gopinath Cham Kund Radha Kundigiri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Mayapura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Ganga Yamuna Devi Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Jai, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Samavita Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Bhagavad Gītā as it is. Seventh chapter, text number 3. Knowledge of the Absolute Truth. Manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścit yatati siddhaye yatataṃ api siddhānām kaścin vetti tattvataḥ manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścit yatati siddhaye yatatām api siddhānām kaścin vetti tattvataḥ manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścit yatati siddhaye yatatām api siddhānām kaścin vetti tattvataḥ. Matajis. Manuṣyāṇāṁ of men, sahasreṣu, out of many thousands, kaścit, someone, yatati, endeavors, siddhaye, for perfection, yatatām, of those so endeavoring, api, indeed, siddhānām, of those who have achieved perfection, kaścit, someone, mam, me, vetti, does know, tattvataḥ, in fact. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Purport. There are various grades of man, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gītā are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the Superself, and the process of realization by jñāna-yoga, dhyāna-yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Kṛṣṇa can be known only by persons who are in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Person, but at the same time is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramātmā. The yogīs and jñānīs are confused in their attempt to understand Kṛṣṇa. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Śrīpāda Śaṅkarācārya, has admitted in his Gītā commentary that Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Kṛṣṇa as such, for it is very difficult to know Kṛṣṇa, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord, Govinda. Ishvara Parama Kṛṣṇa Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as a non-devotee class of man proclaimed, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy. But when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harir Bhakti Utpatayaiva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads, Puranas and Narad Pancharatra, is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalists or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a son of Maria Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Kṛṣṇa. Muyanti yat surya mam tu vedana kaścana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then Sam Atma Sudulabha, such a great soul, is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Kṛṣṇa as he is, tattvataḥ. Even though one is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Kṛṣṇa. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Kṛṣṇa is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore it is said, Atase Kṛṣṇa nama dīna bhavet grayamindriyai sevan mukya jivado sayam evas purati adaha. No one can understand Kṛṣṇa as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Amajnānatimidandasya jñānanjanāsalakaya chakasodhanamritam yenam tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanamanopistam sthapitam yena bhutale Sayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Sabadantigam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuto Padakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindhu Dīna Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Prishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Rama Hare Hare manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścit yatati siddhaye yatataṃ bhavisidhanam kaścimāṁ vetti tattvataḥ. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Vetti tattvataḥ. Vetti means to know. Tattvataḥ, in fact or in truth, completely. A few times in the Bhagavad Gītā, these two words are there, vetti tattvataḥ. In the 4th chapter, 9th verse, janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataḥ tattvataḥ punah janma naiti mamati. So Arjuna, Kṛṣṇa is explaining to Arjuna that one who knows about my janma, my birth, my appearance, karma, my activities, my pastimes, chame divyam, who are transcendental, tattvataḥ punah janma. So after giving up his body, he will not take birth again. He will not come back to this material world. So also there, vetti tattvataḥ, if one knows Kṛṣṇa in truth, then one will be able to enter the pastimes of the Lord. Also in the 11th chapter, bhaktyamama vijavanti yavan yasasma tattvataḥ. Or in the 18th chapter also, it is explained there, text 54, that one who knows Kṛṣṇa in truth, one who understands my wonderful activities, he will come to me. He will not take birth again. So one has to know Kṛṣṇa in truth completely. Means one has to realize Kṛṣṇa, not just theoretically but practically. Then after giving up this body, then one can enter the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. So direct perception of Kṛṣṇa, sakshatkar, and then one is assured of success. So here, manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu, thousands of men may be there. Or even we may say, not only thousands, but amongst millions of people, like in this planet Earth. So even now there are billions of people living. But the majority of the people, they are satisfied simply by working in his world and earning some money and then engaging in sense gratification and they do not know about the self, about the Lord, and they don't have interest to know also. They're just concerned about their present life, where they came from, where they will go after giving up this body. They have no interest, they don't want to know. Although everyone in this world is only living temporarily, and everyone who has to give up the body, death is inevitable. And people, they know, but still they don't want to think about that. Actually, they're also afraid because they don't know what will happen. So they just try to forget about that. And they are happy now to some extent, and they want to just try to be happy in this world. Of course, true happiness is not possible in the material world. True happiness is there in relation to Kṛṣṇa. Jivere sopoy Kṛṣṇera nityadas. That is the constitutional position of the jiva. That is a servant of Kṛṣṇa. And only when he is properly engaged in devotional service, he can experience transcendental happiness. That is true happiness. In the material world, there is also some happiness there, no doubt. But it is material happiness, and it is very temporary. So therefore, an intelligent person will try to engage in spiritual activities. An intelligent person will try to find out, who am I? Why am I in this material world? What will happen at the time of death? Where will I go? So that is natural that this inquiry will be there when one has the human form of life. Practically almost everyone will have this question. But then again, mostly people, they will just try to push these thoughts away. Who am I? Why am I here in this world? So only few persons, they will try to find out why we are in this material world. What is my actual position? What will happen at the time of death? What is the purpose of this material world? And as mentioned here, so amongst many thousands of people or millions of people, kaścit yatati siddhaye. Someone, just some people, they may be interested in spiritual life. And they will try to find out more about their actual existence. What is beyond this material world, or what will happen at the time of death. Only few persons are there. So they're endeavoring for perfection, siddhaye. And so actually they are fortunate and they are on the right path. And human form of life is meant for self-realization. Otherwise, a human being who is interested in eating, sleeping, working and defending, that is described in the scriptures also. Pashuhi saman, he's just like an animal. Animal, he's eating, looking for food here and there. And then he has to defend himself because others, for example dogs, they're there looking for food, other dogs are there also. And so if they find some food, they have to defend themselves from other dogs. And then they're sleeping, that is normal. And then they will also try to engage in sex life. But in the human form of life, there is intelligence, refined intelligence. Even the animals, to some extent, they have some intelligence. But it's very limited. And they cannot inquire about the absolute truth. They cannot hear, they cannot read the scriptures. They have some intelligence by which they can try to get food, or they can defend themselves. So very limited. But in human form of life, there's more intelligence. And that should be used for self-realization. So an intelligent person, he will try to find out the absolute truth, the purpose of life in this material world. So, yatati siddhānām, and those who are endeavoring to find out, kaścit, only few, vetti tattvataḥ, they may understand Kṛṣṇa in truth. So even there we can see many persons, of course still the minority of the persons of this world are endeavoring for spiritual life. They are interested in spiritual life. As we know, maybe 8 million people are there. So not even half, they will have some interest in spiritual activities. Maybe just from 8 billion, 1 billion. They may have some idea that there may be God. There may be Christians or Muslims or other religions may be there, or impersonalists also. So there is some endeavor is there, but not much either. And then even those who understand that God is existing, that there is God, maybe Christians, Indians, or Muslims, but even then, mostly they are not so much absorbed in spiritual activities. They understand the existence of God. They may understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. But that they are not fully absorbed in spiritual activities. And if one is not fully absorbed in spiritual activities, there's no question of understanding the absolute truth in truth. Vetti tattvataḥ. So those who are fully absorbed in spiritual activities are less. Even they may be Mayavadis and they may want to merge in the impersonal existence of the absolute truth, the Brahma Jyoti. But even amongst them, very, very, very few, they will attain that perfection, mukti, merging in the impersonal existence of the Lord, or merging in the Lord. Only very, very few they may attain. So similarly, even those who accept the existence of God and they engage in devotional activities, and they may have some knowledge, but then to realize God and realize one's own self, that is not easy. And therefore even Prabhupada is explaining here in the Purport, bhakti, that is not so easy. Especially pure bhakti, pure devotional service. So having some understanding of God or of Kṛṣṇa and engaging in some spiritual activities, they may be there. But then to fully understand Kṛṣṇa and to fully surrender to Kṛṣṇa, That is very, very rare. Vetti tattvataḥ, to fully understand Kṛṣṇa. And then being able to enter the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. That is very rare. But one has to adopt this process of devotional service. And one has to be under the guidance, or one has to approach a spiritual master, a great devotee. Tattvataḥ, who has realization, who has seen Kṛṣṇa, who is realized, who has realized that is not this body, and is fully engaged in devotional activities. Such a person is rare, so we have to approach such person. And then with their help, then we can progress slowly but surely in making advancement in spiritual life and coming closer to Kṛṣṇa. So Rupa Goswami has also explained the 8 stages of devotional service, Shraddha. First there is faith. One has faith in the Lord, that Kṛṣṇa is existing, Kṛṣṇa is the Lord. We are part and parcels of Kṛṣṇa. But then one needs the association of the sadhus, sadhu sangha. And then bhajana kriya, then one can engage in devotional activities, in devotional service. And then anatta nivritti, one can become free from unwanted things which are in the heart. One can become free from all the kalmash, the contamination, the impurities in the heart. And then nishta, one can be fixed and resolute in purpose, fixed in devotional activities, in devotional service. Despite all difficulties, one will not be disturbed if one is fixed. And difficulties are always there in this material world. But if one is fixed, then he can tolerate, he can overcome all difficulties. And then he will get a taste for spiritual activities, for chanting the holy names, Nam Ruchi, Seva Ruchi. And then the progress is more fast. And one becomes attached to Kṛṣṇa and detached from this material world. And then real spiritual life begins. And exchange with Kṛṣṇa will be there. And then direct perception of Kṛṣṇa. As Prabhupada is writing also, Atase Kṛṣṇa namadi na bhavet kriyam indriyai. Kṛṣṇa not be understood with the material senses. With the material sense, material eyes, you cannot see Kṛṣṇa. You cannot hear Kṛṣṇa with your material eyes. You cannot touch Kṛṣṇa with your material body and senses. Seva mukhe jivado spuratevam swayameva spuratyadaha. So by engaging in devotional service, starting with the tongue, by chanting the holy names and taking Kṛṣṇa prasad, then Kṛṣṇa will manifest eventually, but it will take time, and so we have to be patient. One has to be fixed, one has to be enthusiastic, and one has to be patient, always in good association, engaged in all the limbs of devotional service. Then Kṛṣṇa will reveal himself. And then we can see Kṛṣṇa as he is. And then we can see ourselves. That is vetti tattvataḥ, to know Kṛṣṇa in truth. Sakshakar, direct experience of Kṛṣṇa. And Atma Sakshakar, direct perception of our own self. That is the goal of life. But it is not so easy, it will take time. But one should endeavor to the best of one's ability and take the help of others, the spiritual master, the advanced devotees. And one has to pray, cry out to Kṛṣṇa, to Mahaprabhu, and the associates of the Lord, cry out for help. Because on our own it is not possible, we need the help of those who are nicely engaged in devotional service. And then we can be properly situated, then we can overcome all difficulties. And then we can understand Kṛṣṇa as he is. So one has to seriously, sincerely adopt the process of devotional service, engage in spiritual activities, and one has to become absorbed in spiritual activities. Of course, in this world, one has to also, especially as householder, and the majority of the human beings, they will be householders. One has to make a living, one has to earn some money. Purport also used to say that one should only work as much as required to keep the body and soul together. But the main activity should be service to Kṛṣṇa, or chanting the holy names, hearing the scriptures. But then one may work, but so we should just work as much as to be able to maintain ourselves. And then the rest of the time, the majority of the time should be engaged in spiritual activities. And if one is doing that, practicing every day, that even while working, then one can still also remember Kṛṣṇa, at least to some extent. But then in the morning or evening, when one is free, one can be more absorbed. And one has to try to be absorbed. So if one is sincerely endeavoring and one is praying for help, then Kṛṣṇa will help. Ananya Shintantamam Yajanapaya Pasade Tesham Nityavayuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. To those who are constantly devoted, who surrendered to Kṛṣṇa, to them Kṛṣṇa will help. He will preserve what they have and He will give what they lack in every way. But the devotee has to endeavor. So even as a devotee, so one is engaged in spiritual activities, but then to be fully absorbed, it is not so easy. But one has to try one's best to hear as much as possible about Kṛṣṇa. And of course, for that also, actually one has to know what is the goal. What is the goal in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya? The goal is to go to Golok, not to go to Vaikuntha, not to go to even Dwarka in the spiritual world or Mathura, but to go to Golok Vrindavan. So one has to know the goal. And then one has to also know the process by which one can achieve the goal, by which one can go there. So by reading Prabhupada's books, and by hearing from Prabhupada or Prabhupada's disciples, Then we become acquainted with the conclusion of the Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. And then someone knows what is the goal. And then, so one also has to know properly how to reach the goal, how to engage properly in devotional activities. Not only physically with the body, but then especially one has to also Vani is there, the tongue is there, as explained. Devotional service starts with the tongue, by taking Kṛṣṇa prasad, and then by speaking about Kṛṣṇa, glorifying Kṛṣṇa, or the holy place, or the associates of the Lord. And that is more important than accepting Kṛṣṇa prasad and eating. That is also important and helpful, and that we must do. But then more important is even chanting the holy names, hearing about Kṛṣṇa. Simply trying to be absorbed in taking Kṛṣṇa prasad, that is just one aspect, and that is there to keep the body and soul together. That is also purifying the consciousness. But there's only a limited amount of prasad we can take. But then, throughout the day, as much as possible, one has to glorify Kṛṣṇa, one has to chant the holy names, one has to serve the Lord in various ways. And try to become absorbed in that. And then there will be reciprocation, then there will be realization. If one is sincerely engaged, then there's a reciprocation, and Kṛṣṇa will help. So we can advance more and more. So the most important activity is chanting the holy names, the Maha-mantra, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But on a daily basis we have to hear about Kṛṣṇa, or therefore here also to hear the Bhagavad Gītā. These are Kṛṣṇa's instructions. But then most important is to hear about Kṛṣṇa in Braj, and his wonderful pastimes in Braj with his eternal associates, his friends, Sudam, Sridham, Madhamangal, and others. His parents are there, and then the gopis, his most beloved, the most exalted associates of Kṛṣṇa, the gopis. So we have to hear about their loving exchange, about their wonderful pastimes in different places in Braj. And so we have to hear sufficiently so that Kṛṣṇa will be there in our consciousness. And then we can properly serve Kṛṣṇa. And when Kṛṣṇa is there in our consciousness, so we have to endeavor to remember Kṛṣṇa. But simply our endeavor is not enough, but we need the mercy of the Spiritual Master and Mahaprabhu and Kṛṣṇa. But sincere endeavor is required, and then, so especially hearing from the advanced devotees who are realized, who have seen Kṛṣṇa, tattvataḥ. And so when they describe Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form, Ganashyam, Megasham, Kṛṣṇa's complexion is just like the dark blue cloud. Pitambave, she is wearing a yellow dhoti and yellow chadar. Yes, beautiful, he's wearing beautiful ornaments. And his forehead is decorated with a tilak, kasturi tilakam, made with sandalwood paste and musk, the musk of the deer, very fragrant. And he has beautiful, sharp, shaped earrings, kundal. And when he's walking or tilting his head, so they're also swinging back and forth. So his eyes are just like lotus petals. And his mouth also. And the lotus navel is there, and hands just like lotus flowers also, pinkish in color and very soft. And Kṛṣṇa is famous as having always a peacock feather in his crown, or in his hair, or in the turban, and is adept at playing the flute, Vamsi, Murlidhar, Ramsidhar, and is beautifully playing the flute, attracting all the Brijabasis. And so he's wearing a beautiful dhoti, and there's a sash also, a red color with a belt, and the little bells are there attached to the belt. So when Kṛṣṇa, of course, nupur are there, ankle bracelets are there with little bells, and when Kṛṣṇa is moving, the sound is there of the ankle bells, or the waist of the belt on the waist. And he has a very beautiful garland, Vajjayantimala, made with 5 kinds of flowers. Sometimes, of course, he has other garlands also made with fragrant flowers, champa flower, malati, kunda. So by hearing about Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form and his qualities and in his pastimes, then we can remember how Kṛṣṇa is there throughout the day in different places, morning in Nandagaon, noon times at Radhakund, performing pastimes with his associates. So if we hear sufficiently nicely, then we can remember to some extent. Then we can glorify Kṛṣṇa. Then we can chant the holy names with a proper mood. And we can serve the deities properly when we have the proper consciousness. When we are absorbed in that, and then we can quickly advance, more quickly. So we should try to know Kṛṣṇa in truth, vetti tattvataḥ. So we have to endeavor to be fully absorbed, and then we pray to the Lord and His devotees. We take the association of those who are very much absorbed, then it will be easier for us to be absorbed also. And then we can understand Kṛṣṇa as He is. Hare Krishna. Any question? Yes. Yes. How well? Yes, we should achieve pure love for God, and but ultimately we have to fix our mind on one form of God. Of course, in the beginning we hear about Vishnu, we hear about Narayan, we hear about Ramachandra, and then about the associates of Vishnu or Narayan or Ramachandra, and then how to engage properly in devotional service, how to follow Vana ashram. So that we have to hear also, and we have to think about that, and that will help us also to be fixed. But ultimately we have to know where we want to go. At the beginning it may not be so clear, because the consciousness is not pure. But then we have to be thoughtful, and then also, even for example, any person, so is working very hard, but usually he has a few weeks of chutti, of vacation, and usually everyone is looking for the vacation, working hard, but then he wants vacation. and then he has 2-3 weeks vacation, then okay, let me go somewhere to relax and be happy and not work but just enjoy life. So he's thinking I should go somewhere, but then he has to try to see where to go. Not I just go somewhere and then go to the train station, okay, let me just go somewhere. Then the ticket wala will ask him or at the counter, so where you want to go? I just want to go somewhere. No, but you have to tell where you want to go. You have to know where you want to go. So that we have to know where we want to go, ultimately. And so actually it is our good fortune that we are in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and the highest goal is presented, that is Golok, which is the highest planet. So, of course at the same time, not everyone is going to go to Golok. But by arrangement, usually those who are in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, they are destined to go to Golok, therefore they are brought here. But not everyone, but mostly. But still somebody also after some time he may feel that, oh, it's okay, Golok is the highest planet, but I'm very much attracted to go to Vaikuntha and be with Vishnu, so much opulence, and I want to go there. Or maybe somebody wants to go to Dwarka. Even some devotees are there. I know one devotee also, he wants to go to Dwarka. And he knows actually the highest planet is Golok. Some are devotees of Ramchandra and they want to go to Ayodhya. But they are also helped if they are in this society, because that is the highest, and if one is engaged in spiritual activities, then purification will be there, and then ultimately one's love towards a particular form of the Lord will be revealed when the consciousness is purified, and then one's relationship with the Lord will be revealed eventually. Naturally it will be revealed, and one will have some inclination to serve either Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa, or Kṛṣṇa and Braj rather than Kṛṣṇa and Dwarka. So that will come slowly but surely. So from one point of view, yes, it may be there, just wanting to go to the spiritual world, that is fine. But the more one becomes purified, then actually it will be also then revealed where actually we are supposed to go. And then even there, when we feel the inclination, I want to go to Braj, or I want to go to Dwarka, but still then you have to actually try to be absorbed in that. Then you have to think about Kṛṣṇa and Golok and the associates. If you want to go to Dwarka, then you have to think about Kṛṣṇa and Dwarka, and you hear about Kṛṣṇa with his pastimes with the queens of Dwarka. And then by hearing about them, then you can be absorbed in there. So, in the beginning, one will just want to go to the spiritual world, that is fine. But then in purified consciousness, so that should be, the goal should be more clear. And it will be clear ultimately. And then one has to go further. So how do I become then established then in my relationship with Kṛṣṇa as a friend, or in parental affection, or in conjugal relationship? Then you have to hear. If you have some inclination towards a friendly relationship with Kṛṣṇa in purified consciousness, then one will have to hear about Kṛṣṇa and his pastimes with his friends. Then one can be absorbed. If one has parental affection, the Prabhupada is mentioned also in the 10th canto, in the Kṛṣṇa book. Those who are inclined toward the parental affection towards Kṛṣṇa, just like Mother Yashoda, should carefully hear and see how Maria Yashoda was serving Kṛṣṇa and which mood she was serving Kṛṣṇa. And then one can become absorbed. Similarly, those who are done in conjugal relationship, they have to hear about the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, with the gopis and the manjaris, and then one can become absorbed, and then one can attain perfection. So one has to, till the perfection, one has to endeavor very sincerely and seriously in order to attain the goal. So, and usually it is good to be under guidance of those who are more experienced, and they will help us. But then in purified consciousness also, then Kṛṣṇa is actually there also to guide us from within. But then externally also, then the spiritual master, therefore the spiritual master is there and he will help. The initiating spiritual master or the instructing spiritual master, they are there to help us. So even you can see in the material world, we need a guide. In school you have the teacher. Even then you want to become a doctor, you have to, you go to school and then you have to learn about that field. If you are a different kind of doctors, dentist is there or surgeon is there, then you have to be under the guidance of a dentist as a surgeon. And then you can become expert. Or if you want to become a lawyer, you learn the law, but then you have to be under the lawyer. And you have to go to, and then you practice. And then you will get experience. And then you become accomplished also. So same in bhakti, also in devotional service. You have to be under the guidance of those who are experienced. And then you can more easily also become accomplished. And you can become expert in the particular relationship with Kṛṣṇa and the loving exchange. So therefore, it is mentioned also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, even one is on the platform of bhav, which is only the high level of understanding and realization. It is mentioned there still we should be under the guidance on the association of the premi bhaktas, those who are realized. Rasik Vaishnav, those who have realized their relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And then we'll be, even when you're liberated and then you enter the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, you get trained up. If you become a gopi, you're a gop. It's not that suddenly you can serve Kṛṣṇa, you're there and you can serve Kṛṣṇa. Now already you are practicing, you're worshipping the deities, a kind of apprenticeship. When you become perfect, you give up the body, you go to one of the pastimes places of Kṛṣṇa in one of the universes. And there in the association of the Nitya Siddha, those who are perfect, eternally perfect, then you learn how to serve Kṛṣṇa. If you're a gopi, then you're with the gopis who are expert in serving Radha Kṛṣṇa, and they will show you how to serve Radha and Kṛṣṇa. If you become a cowboy, then you're there with Sudam, Sridham, Madhumangal, and they will show you how to serve Kṛṣṇa. They will tell you what Kṛṣṇa likes and what you have to do. And parental affection, then Maria Yashoda is there. And then the elderly gopis, they're there with Maria Yashoda in Vatsalya Bhav, and then they, because Maria Yashoda, she's the mother of Kṛṣṇa. She knows Kṛṣṇa very well, and what Kṛṣṇa likes, and how to do all the seva. And others who want to be in that, then they're there with Maria Yashoda. They cannot directly go and serve Kṛṣṇa. So always we have to be under the guidance of those who are established properly. Then we can also become accomplished in our particular seva. Okay? Hare Krishna. Anything else? So now the easy part, you can all come and take some prasadam. Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Mahaprasadam ki.